He was a minister here at Free Chapel.
In the morning come, all the saints of God gathering home. We will
Almost seemed like time had stood still. And I remember that's one of the few times I saw her with great emotion. Better by and by. If these cemeteries could talk, oh, the stories they could tell. And Lord knows we have had some stories today. We have seen the connectivity. We've seen the great migration into Bullock County. We've seen the great migration out of Bullock County. And we've seen those souls who stayed and fought the battle. And those who are resting here waiting for that great getting up moment. On the third Saturday of each month, we will be at a different cemetery. Thank you so much, and may God bless all of you. We are at the historic, and I will repeat, historic Free Chapel Baptist Church. Free Chapel has been a church and a school for a very, very long time. This very building, with a few modifications, was the site of the Free Chapel School and Church. In 1915, Dugan, spelled D-U-G-G-A-N, State Superintendent of Education for Georgia, did a survey of Bullock County schools, and Free Chapel was a school operating at that time. Before we proceed further, I want to open with prayer as we are in the sanctuary of this historic church. It almost seemed like time had stood still. Looking at the piano, and the keys are rugged with time, many of them locked in place. As I've read some of the commentary and listened to the oral recordings, it notes that Free Chapel Church had a double door, which it still has, 3 windows on each side, and one of the windows was used to make an exit for handicapped people. My. And to look at the pulpit, it really, really has been locked in time. Let's bow our heads. Our Father and our God, we are grateful for the opportunity to visit and to stand in the place where many of our ancestors tread. Many went to school here, and many had opportunities to learn in this very church. May the spirit of those in the cemetery continue to rest in peace. And may those who do not know the story of Free Chapel will learn about the triumphs and struggles of a people deep in the woods of Aiken Palm Road was seeking an education and was seeking spiritual growth and understanding. We ask these blessings in your name, dear Lord. Amen. At this time, we will entertain a song. Miss Louise Moore Cheney has been, as I call her, a standard bearer. She has been attending many of the cemetery tours in the past, and we're so pleased to have her. I know what the good scripture says, that when there's 2 or 3 gathered together in my name, I am in the midst. So the Master's here with us today. And at this time, Miss Cheney will give us a rendition of a song that touches her heart.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. By and by, when the morning comes, all the saints of God be gathering home. We will tell the story how we overcome, and we'll understand it better
by and by. Oh, by and by. Oh,
when the morning comes.
and
All the saints of God gathering home, we will
tell
the story how we overcome,
and we'll understand it better by and by. And isn't that the song that many of the saints sang by and by as they was looking for that better day? That message rang throughout this church on many times. By and by, we'll understand. So, I want to talk a little bit about the school that was operated here. And a lot of this information was obtained from a dissertation by Dr. Enola Moses, who wrote on the 49 schools at that time, African Americans in Bullock County from 1920 to 1949. And Free Chapel was one of those schools. Additionally, I have interviewed a number of individuals who have given me bits and pieces of information. One of the people I want to mention is a George Brown. George Brown is the son of Lily Mae Johnson Brown, who later was Sheffield. And George was a guitar player and was a former member of Free Chapel Church, as was his mama, the Johnsons, and many in the Hagens family. He told me that one time, Daddy Grace from Savannah, Georgia, came out in this wooded area and visited Free Chapel Church. That was quite a sensation because this huge big car came out. Daddy Grace stepped out and someone put a red carpet where he walked that led into the sanctuary. And people from miles around talked about and came to see Daddy Grace. Another story I heard was from Hetty Wallace. Hetty Lee Wallace was the daughter of Alex Lee. Her father, Alex Lee, died in 1924, and they buried him the next day at the Lee Cemetery. But they didn't have the funeral until 1 month later, and it was held here at Free Chapel Church. And Elder Conyers, I believe that was his name, preached the service. And at that time, there was graveside services that would happen the next day, and many times the funeral would happen a month later. And so that was some new information that I had. Also, in talking to my grandfather, Solomon Lee, his father, Jonas Lee, born in 1866, came to this church, Free Chapel. Now, in reading Dr. Enola Moses' dissertation, she notes that through oral history, she had heard that Free Chapel started during the period of enslavement, and that's why the name is associated with Free Chapel. We do need to verify a lot of this information so that when I went to the archives, it was hard to find additional information supportive of many of these oral stories. I want to mention the names that I have found of many of the teachers who taught in this very room. We had Mamie Pewsley. Mamie Pewsley was a seamstress, and she taught in the late 20s and early 30s. Edna Hall taught here. She had finished at Statesboro High and Industrial. At that time, if you complete the 9th grade, you could come and teach at these one-room schools. Also, Frida Mae Burns taught here. Now, Mr. Mr. Tommy Burroughs, who lived to be nearly 106 years old, Frida Burns was his teacher, and he came here to school. I interviewed him on a number of occasions, and they talked about walking to Fremont School, Free Chapel School, and crossing the water when it was raining. You had to put boards as it crossed. The Johnny Green's family, early when they moved to Bullock County, came here as students. And there were many, many more. Leela Scarborough also taught here at Free Chapel. And Leela Jones Scarborough was the daughter of George Jones and Sarah Parrish Jones. And four of the Jones sisters were teachers in the Bullock County system. The most famous of those, or the most well-known, was Eva Jonesmore, who taught and was principal at many of these schools in Bullock County, Georgia. So the records at Bullock County start from 1938. In 1938, Veronica Young was the teacher here. It was a one-room school, and the average enrollment was 48, but the average daily attendance was 25. School was only 7 months, starting in October and ending in April, and her salary was $25 a month. Veronica Young also was teacher here in 39 to 40, 38 to 39, 39 to 40, and 40 to 41. I was looking at the register of teachers in Bullock County, and in 1940, there were 130 white teachers in Bullock County, and there were 71 they called colored at that time, or African Americans. Over the years, the salaries improved, and the student population also increased. Now, between 1938 and 1945-46, when the school closed, the teacher population for the county went from 71 to 82. So there was not a large increase in the population. Other teachers here at the school were Ernestine Pearson, Susie A. Edwards, Laura Bell Washington, who was the daughter of Alex Washington Sr., and Maisie Martin. She was a student at Statesboro High and Industrial and came in 1943 as teacher here. We also had Elizabeth Roundtree. At that time, the school was 8 months. Then Gracie Mincy was the last teacher on record to teach here at the Free Chapel School. And after Free Chapel closed, many of the students went to the Willow Hill School and to Polk's Academy. So it's interesting as we study the educational history of Free Chapel, we see it moving from 7 months to 9 months. And we also see the teachers' salaries increase. Now, this population of students was 48, nearly 50 students in grades 1 through 7 in this one room. So at this time, we do want to go out to the cemetery and take a look at many of the graves that are yet there. Many of the graves are unmarked, and many graves are scattered throughout the wooded area, which are unknown and known only to time. So thank you, Ms. Moore Cheney, for coming out to be a part of this. And at this time, we will go to the cemetery for the tour of the cemetery.
Okay.
We're standing here in the cemetery of the Free Chapel Baptist Church. The cemetery has very few graves with headstones, and I know over time, because as a young lad I came here to a funeral, and many of these graves did not have the vaults on them.
Mm.
One person that comes to my mind that I believe is buried over in these woods, because when I was a young lad, I remember the hearse come in and made a left in front of the church and went in this direction for a burial. The lady was Miss Julia Johnson. She was a good friend of my grandmother, Bonnie Mae Donaldson Lee. Both of those ladies joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Savannah, Georgia, and would have branch Sabbath schools. And I remember when she passed away, my grandmother, who really didn't show a lot of emotions, showed great emotion when she lost a very dear friend. And we came here to Free Chapel and buried. And I often heard Miss Julia talk about Free Chapel, going there. She was Julia Waters Johnson, married Martin Johnson, also known as Buddy. And Mr. Buddy Johnson could play that guitar, and he did like a little taste every now and then of that, what they call moonshine days. He was making his own way back then. But anyway, I wanted to mention one other teacher I had failed to mention. Her name was Geneva Sally. She taught here in 41, 42. And just repeating again those names: Veronica Young, 39, 38, 39. And before 38 was Mamie Pewsley, Edna Hall, and Freedom A. Burns, and Leela Scarborough. And then we had Veronica Young, who taught at least 3 years, from 39 to 41. Then Ernestine Pearson, Pearsan, and then followed by Geneva Sally, Salley. Then Susie A. Edwards, then Laura Bell Washington, Elizabeth Roundtree, and Gracie Mincy as the last one on record before the school closed in 45. So 45, 46 school year. That was the last school year, and those students went to Willow Hill and also Polk's Academy. Now I just want to talk a little bit about some of the burials here in this cemetery. I don't know all of them because many of them aren't marked. So we'll start in this section over here. We have, as you will see, a lot of these names are Johnsons, and the Johnsons were associated with Free Chapel. If anyone knows any additional information, I would like for them to contact me. This is Mamie Lee Johnson Jackson, born in 1919 and died in 2002. Rosalie Stokes, and usually family members are buried together. Born in 1900, died in 86. We don't know who the grave right next to her because it's not marked. But I'm assuming it's family members because all of this group here are Johnsons. We have Willie Louise Johnson, born in 55, died in 1995. And we have Willie F. Johnson, born in 1929 and died in 1965. So that is the Johnsons. Now here is a small child, Willie Roy Johnson. Now this is a burial in, I believe, around 1955. It was a small child, lived to be only a few months old. That's Willie, and I believe he was born in 54 and died in 54. Born February the 20th, 1954, died July the 29th, 1954. Yet a small child. May you rest in peace, and may they be someone that you're attached to will remember the legacy that you have here. Coming over here, we talked about this is Elder Jerry Williams. Elder Jerry Williams, we saw his picture in the sanctuary. He was a minister here at Free Chapel, and he was also a minister at Piney Grove Holiness. He was born in 47 and died in 2011. His brother Bobby Williams is out here someplace. I'm not sure where his actual grave is, but I know he's in the cemetery. So Jerry Williams is the son of Albert Williams, who is the brother of R.L. Williams, yes, and Lois Higgins, who is the daughter of Sonnyman Higgins and Mamie Johnson Higgins. And so you see all of the connectivities. Elder Williams came back to be pastor here. His mother and many of the ancestors all were part of the Free Chapel Baptist Church. This is Bobby. Bobby is the brother of the Jerry Williams, and these are all children of Albert Williams. Now, just to give some context, Albert Williams is the son of son Jack Williams and Ada Hendricks Williams. They are buried over at the Hodges Cemetery. Now, Albert Hendricks was a known carpenter and casket maker, and he was one of the carpenters of the Willow Hill School grounds when the Rosenwald School existed. We're not clear who this grave unmarked, not clear who this grave is unmarked, but here is Anna Scott. Now the Scotts were well known. She died at age 77 on October the 8th, 1977. But she was connected to Yulee Scott, and he was born at the edge of slavery or in slavery. And many of those Scotts are buried in the Lee Cemetery, and some, I believe, maybe at St. Mary's. Here is Jimmy Lee Scott. That's one of the relatives. Born in 55, died in 2018, but connected to the Scott family. And I suspect that these two are also connected to the Scotts. They're not marked. Now, we saw some Stokes over in that section, and this here is Nicole Scott. This is Nicole Scott, and she was a daughter of Kenneth Scott, and the mother was May Frances Wilkerson Scott, and she was connected to the Hagen. Her fiance was Timothy Higgins, and so she died with her unborn daughter, and they both are buried here together. Here is a grave unmarked, not sure who that is. And here are three graves together. This is Leon Higgins, and Leon Higgins come through the Sonnyman Higgins and Mamie Johnson Higgins. And so I suspect that all three of these are related. Leon Hagen died in 2012. There are a number of individuals buried here whose graves are only known to times. The indentations in the landscape tell a story, and their memory too should be remembered. And if there's anyone who knows about the history of the Free Chapel Baptist Church and or the Free Chapel Baptist Church Cemetery, we welcome you to contact me through the Willow Hill Heritage and Renaissance Center, www.willowhillheritage.org. And we want to thank all of you who have been a part of If These Cemeteries Could Talk. Oh, the stories they would tell. And I suspect that there are a lot of unknown stories here yet to be told, resting for that great getting up morning. Thank you very much.